what struck me as fascinating, what different than previous addresses, almost any previous address in the 20th century or 21st, was his return to America as sort of a normal country. I mean, there was both an exceptionalism in it, but really he was saying, no, we're not just a set of ideas. We are actually a piece of geography which has an existing population that comes first. Yeah. And we even had a sort of slight revival of the manifest destiny argument that we are going to resolve all of our contradictions by keep moving forward. Yeah. That's the American thing, is to be just constantly restless, move forward, forget all the contradictions, just keep going. And that's definitely a deep part of the American psyche. But for him to bring up McKinley, I thought was, and to be focused on McKinley, which is someone whom Bannon, others have been obsessed with for quite a while. A lot of people on the more interesting parts of the new American right have been obsessed with McKinley. But McKinley represented an America that was not global, that was very protective of its own hemisphere, quite aggressive within its own hemisphere, high tariffs, high inequality, and America first, before America became burdened, as it were.
And a lot of economic dynamism.
Yes. And this is deep. It's deep. It's almost as if, to me, as if the America beneath the post-Cold War America, the post-war America, has begun to reemerge in due time. How do you feel about that?
I feel very sympathetic to that analysis, Andrew, because what has emerged to me is, in his speech, similar to yours, which is certainly different from the Cold War era and the post-Cold War era, which is that whatever America is, it is not only an idea. Because for the universalist neocons, it was only an idea. And if it's only an idea, then in principle it can be exported everywhere. Yeah. And they believed it could be, and they were wrong. And one of the sources, after all, of Trump's popularity is that he is a peace candidate. He's an anti-war candidate. He didn't send anyone into war when he was in power last time. He may use other forms of pressure, even military pressure now, but they won't involve committing, I don't think, troops long-term anywhere. I can't conceive of that. So it's back to an idea of America as having its own destiny, which is written into its history, but as not being radically exceptional or revolutionary in the way the Jacobins or the Bolsheviks were. Whereas as others have done as well, I always found in neoconservatism to my mind, dangerous neo-Trotskyist element, which is that they were the head of a global democratic revolution. It's never going to happen. Yeah. Never going to happen.
Well, some of them actually started out as exactly that, communists, and then just been on the right, but it still had those same messianic understandings.
They're a bit like many modern atheists. They carry the concepts and the world view even after they've rejected the specific beliefs. So they turned Marx or Bolshevism upside down in terms of their attitude to capitalism, but they still retain this idea of a universalist mission. I don't think Trump has a universalist mission in this sense. He wants to reassert America's position in the world. He doesn't want to reshape the world. And that's in accordance with a particular American image of itself. And I think that kind of transactional realism could turn out to be not only much more beneficial, but actually, to my mind, more morally clean than what went before it. Because one of the consequences of the neoconservative project was that America acquired a great deal of negative soft power. We ask, does it have soft power? People say, no, it hasn't got much. It does. It had liberal America in the liberal era before this post-liberal era, at least in foreign policy, has emerged, was viewed throughout the world in the last few years as a country which started wars of choice, backed certain local allies, and then abandoned them. Who was it who said, was it Kissinger or was it some ancient Middle Eastern saying, it's dangerous to be an enemy of America, but invariably fatal to be a friend? And that became this deep
Ask the Afghans.
Ask the
Afghans who sacrificed their lives, they risked their families to serve the United States, and were abandoned.
And were abandoned by Britain and America. And so, but it's a long story. I mean, it's not just the Afghans. It was also many people in Iraq and in Libya and in all the areas where usually led by the Americans, although Libya was led by the French and the British. But wherever the West intervened, it abandoned its allies. And so this is a cleaner, it seems to me, kind of foreign policy, which is we don't promise to support you through thick and thin. We're not going to try and convert you to our way of life. We're not going to get exhausted and then abandoned, as, by the way, could still happen to the Ukrainians.